Okay, it's recording. I don't know what this never request is. Okay. Welcome. Today we're going to be tiering the Bill of Rights. Hopefully you read the video title and you knew that already. Anyways, but today I am here with my friend Jonathon Floyd. He's an expert in all this stuff, which is good because I don't know a whole lot. But Jonathon, why don't you say hello?
Hey guys, how's it going?
I don't know. What would you like to promote here today?
Well, some shameless self-promotion here. Well, I do have a podcast that I do with my friend Logan. It's called the Stories to Tell Podcast. We tell each other ridiculous true stories from history and react to them. Link to the YouTube channel will be in the video description.
Yeah, it's probably a lot more entertaining than anything you'll ever find on this channel. So I highly recommend going over there. I'm going to start watching their stuff as soon as I figure out what that link is in the description. Anyways, so yeah, we have the Bill of Rights. We have the rights. We might have forgotten some. We'll worry about that later if we get there. But anyways, I don't know. What do you want to start with, Jonathon? What should we throw on the tier list first?
Well, I say we're kind of in reverse order here in terms of the pictures. So maybe we go backwards. We go
backwards. Okay. Before this disclaimer, I just want to say I love our founding fathers, and I think these are all S tier back in the day, but I'm looking at them as they are now. So if I think one's worthless, sorry to all of you lovers out there of George Washington. I also love George Washington and everything. Anyways, founding fathers, great people. Some of these are getting F tier. Okay, anyways, so
if we have any legal textualists in the audience, just turn off the video now. Just walk away.
All right, so we want to give all rights to Montana. That's definitely an F tier. Jonathon, what's this one actually mean?
Okay, so the Montana is, it's a map of a state because the 10th Amendment is all about the states. It basically says that any right, any power that the Constitution does not specifically delegate to one of the branches of the federal government is delegated to the state governments instead.
All right. So that's a pretty strong one for most conservatives, as I clearly am. So that's clearly the B tier, C tier, D tier, A tier.
I think B tier is fair.
I think B is fair.
It's not the sexiest amendment. It doesn't get debated a lot, in front of the Supreme Court or whatever. But it's important, right? It sets up this kind of balance between the states and the federal government.
That's true. All right, this pen, I remember this one because it's I'll remember anyways. The pen means if it's not written down, that doesn't mean it's not in the Constitution, or just because it's not in the Constitution doesn't mean it's not your right. So I think that's a very important one. I just don't know, once again, like you just said, sexy. I think doesn't really get me going like some of the other ones.
This one, I feel like, deserves some maybe A tier consideration. I'll tell you why.
I think I can get behind that, but you go.
So without the 9th Amendment, there's a good chance that the rest of the Bill of Rights probably wouldn't exist. Sorry, my goodness. I've been swimming today, and you can tell because I'm allergic to chlorine. When the Bill of Rights was being kind of discussed and proposed, the Constitution had already been ratified, and they were looking to amend it with this Bill of Rights. And there were a lot of people, including the author of most of the text of the Constitution, James Madison, who didn't want a Bill of Rights. They thought it was a bad idea because their idea was if we put a Bill of Rights in the Constitution, then a future government could potentially use it as an excuse to limit other rights. Like, well, it doesn't say anything in the Constitution about this, so you can't do it, and they might use it to take away other important rights that, they didn't think of at the time when they wrote the Bill of Rights. So the 9th Amendment was a compromise. It was basically saying, okay, we're going to put this in here so that no future government will ever use the Bill of Rights as an excuse to limit unenumerated rights that aren't explicitly stated in the Constitution. Without the 9th Amendment, there's a good chance that guys like James Madison would have just blocked the inclusion of the Bill of Rights completely. We might not even have the Bill of Rights. So it's a very important amendment.
Yeah, although it doesn't get used a lot, I think you're right. All right, now I'm just going to jump to quartering. I just want to put this in the F tier. And you know why? Because no one uses it anymore. When was the last time quartering got cited? That's what I thought. Yeah, all right, perfect. All right, next, any qualms with quartering? Are you unhappy with? Do you think quartering's a right you hold dear?
I stand on my right not to quarter slowly.
All right,
I think it's fine in F tier. If we're going to put one in F tier, it might as well be.
Oh, don't worry. There's more than one I want in F tier.
Oh boy, okay, I'm excited.
Okay, so we got criminal and civil suits. Let's start with the. This is our civil. I don't know why.
I think. Yeah. Civil suits to me. So the 7th Amendment says that you have the right to a trial by jury in a civil lawsuit. So
I think that's important.
you may be wondering if you've ever been involved in a civil lawsuit. Well, hey, I didn't have a jury trial in my civil lawsuit. What's the deal? The answer is probably that it was at the state level, and the Seventh Amendment right to a civil trial by jury has not been what's called incorporated to the states. So the Supreme Court has not said that is a right states have to respect. So the federal government has to respect it. If you have a federal lawsuit, you have to have a jury trial if you want it. But at the state level, that's not necessarily the case. Some states do, some states don't.
Okay, that is news to me. I'm glad. This is why I brought you along. I would have just thrown this somewhere and not known that the government or the federal government doesn't need me to have a jury.
The federal government does.
Oh, sorry. Well, that's even worse. That's far worse than what I just said. Okay, great.
So I'm thinking this probably goes in like D or F tier, just because you're not going to see this like applied a lot in your everyday life.
We like to maximize our F tier.
Yeah, right.
So
yeah, we want to hate on the.
I'm not sure what this network request failing is. Hopefully, it's not the microphone not working.
That would be really funny if we recorded all this and then nothing.
Well, I've done that before, so it wouldn't be the first time.
Okay.
So, but do you think this one's better? You think that the right to a speedy trial is a little better?
It's hugely important.
I think that's at least
that's A tier. That's one of the most.
I would prefer that it stays that way. Also, I think we should be noted that I just noticed we only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, we have.
We're doing great.
Wait a second. I have the same picture twice over here.
Wait, why?
I don't know. But I realized as you were counting down, I realized that was only our third one. We were on 7. I think we missed 8's Cruel and Unusual, right?
Oh, we didn't put a picture of Cruel and Unusual.
So
find a picture.
No, it's okay. We have 2 pictures already of this one. We're just gonna pretend this is our new Cruel and Unusual, even though it's also our 5th amendment. Cruel and Unusual. I think that's really important. But also, I think the odds of it applying to me, I'm giving a C tier.
That's good. That's probably a good thing.
That's a good thing.
I think that the other thing with the 8th Amendment is that it means different things depending on who you ask, and also sometimes depending on how the Supreme Court is composed at any given time.
See, that also makes me think it's even more C tier, because what does it actually guarantee me at this point?
At this point, I mean, there are certain, important. What is going on here?
This thing is. Oh, this is our. What picture did we just lose? We lost a picture. I don't know which one it was. Picture? Maybe we didn't. I don't know. I think it's that thing that's
We lost civil suits.
We lost civil suits. That's okay. We don't need
them. We don't care about civil suits.
I guess they're gone. I guess they couldn't load the media. Maybe that's what was yelling at us this whole time.
We have repealed.
This is better. I like it better this way. Yes. Anyways, what were you? We just lost you.
Oh, yeah. We're talking about
cruel and unusual.
Cruel and unusual punishment. In the past, there have been cases before the Supreme Court. There was one very important case, Furman v. Georgia, where the Supreme Court decided that the death penalty constituted cruel and unusual punishment and was unconstitutional.
Take that, capital punishment.
That decision was later overturned.
Oh, okay. Sorry for you, capital punishment haters.
And it is now back. Because, once again, different justices over the years have interpreted the 8th Amendment differently. But in general, it does protect you from things like unusually painful, methods of execution, things like that. They can't boil you in oil. Any of the other lovely things.
That's good. Thank goodness. I would hate to be boiled in oil like good old St. John and almost Avatar Aang. Okay, anyways.
I must have missed that episode.
Anyways. But now we've got the one we actually picked this picture for. 5th, we've got our no self-incrimination. That's pretty important as well, as most of these rights are, but rarely. We got to split hairs here, and I just think if I had to give these up in order, I'd probably put this somewhere around right next to states' rights. Where
right.
Do you want higher or lower? Yeah,
I think it's absolutely fair.
Yeah, it's a good one. To plead the 5th. I didn't understand what that meant until Jonathon said no self-incrimination. I was like, oh, yes, of course. That makes a lot of sense.
It basically means that you don't have to answer a question or give testimony in any situation where it might incriminate you. You can just refuse to answer. That includes, civil and criminal trials. That includes congressional hearings. That's any situation where you might be called to testify under oath. You can refuse to answer a question if it might incriminate you.
So B tier, right next to the states.
Yeah,
I'm going to give up my states. I'm going to give up my rights to the states before I. Or I guess at the same time.
You're going to keep your unenumerated rights.
At the same time that I. All right, let's get on to the real juice here.
The meat.
This guy right here, First Amendment. I think this is an S tier amendment.
Absolutely.
It's got 4 and 1. we got press, we got petition, we've got assembly, speech, religion. Is that 5? That's 5. That's 5. I can list them off. I just can't tell you how many there are. There's a lot of them. Those are really important. We put a Bible there because freedom of religion, if that's not clear to anyone watching. And if there's anyone watching, that's a good one.
Yeah.
So, anyways, First Amendment, 10 out of 10 would recommend any country picking up that amendment. I've heard people say they don't like it. I don't care about those people. Next. All right. So we're leaving guns for last because I assume that'll take the rest of our time. So warrants. What do you feel about warrants?
I think it's probably like A or B.
A or B? I think we should front load this B tier because we're getting really balanced. We're getting really heavy on these the good tiers.
We'll get some B tier warrants in there. The thing with the Fourth Amendment is that there have been kind of loopholes carved into it over the years. Not a ton of loopholes. I mean, the government still needs a warrant for any search or seizure. But for example, the various legislation that was passed in the aftermath of the 9/11 attacks created a system whereby warrants for digital searches and seizures are much easier to obtain. They kind of almost get rubber stamped by specially appointed judges. So it's really, there are certain Fourth Amendment protections that maybe aren't as robust in the digital age as they have been in the past, and that's something to be aware of.
Right.
Don't be a terrorist.
This is all feeling like justification to even put it lower, but we'll leave it where it's at for now because we have something really important to talk about guns. Now, this entire time I've been thinking F tier, but you know what? I thought long enough. I think he's worked his way up possibly to the D tier.
Do you think Second Amendment is D tier?
Okay. Here's what I think about the Second Amendment. I think it's not really doing a whole lot for us besides causing. I mean, it causes problems for debates and shootings and all sorts of stuff. I just don't think the right to bear arms. I understand where it came from. They were like, well, got to be able to uprise against your government, which oddly enough isn't a right that's enumerated into the Bill of Rights. So even though they were like, well, here you can have a gun so that, if tyrants start taking over, you can do something about it. It doesn't actually end up doing much of that. I think that it's kind of just an archaic amendment at this point. But why I think I'm willing to raise it to D tier is because it kind of is just like America, right? It's kind of like just like America. I own a gun. Like
I think maybe that's part of the problem with it.
I think that's part of the problem too.
There is not a portion of the Constitution that is currently enforced today, because obviously there's some sketchy stuff in the original Constitution.
Right.
The 3/5
I was going to say 3/5.
Like there's some pretty nasty stuff in the old, original Constitution. But in terms of the current Constitution as it is enforced today, there might not be a more socially abused provision than the Second Amendment in terms of, I mean, let's be realistic here for a moment. If you own a gun, that gun will not protect you against government tyranny.
Oh, no, it will not.
There is absolutely no chance. If the government decided to forcibly oppress you and the military and police went along with it, there is nothing that your gun is going to do for you. It's just there's simply nothing.
I didn't know how this was going to go. I'm glad we're thinking the same thing here. Do you agree with D tier?
I think D tier is fine.
I think D tier is fine. That's good. I think. Well, we don't need to get into what I think because we're almost out of time. But guns, D tier.
Yeah, I think it is. I think that the importance of gun ownership in American culture is vastly overstated in this kind of testosterone-soaked cowboy fantasy that so many gun owners seem to have about the freedom that owning guns.
Yeah, I couldn't. I don't think I could agree more. Anyway. So yeah, there you have it. The one that's missing is our. Well, first remember that this is cruel and unusual punishment, and that we lost our picture of the guy in the suit.
This is a really high quality video.
So, well, that's why I make them. Yes.